Hey!
Ka-chow. Wow. Hey, whoa. Radical.
Ka-chow. You're like Lightning McQueen over here.
Oh.
Ka-chowing all over the place.
Whoa, put those ka-chows
Ka-chow.
away. Yeah, that's what he says. I'm Mike Kachowski.
Open audition and make a new track. I hit reduce reverb to stop the feedback. There is a danger I can peek for you. More hear the outside noise of the adjoining room. Fifth period. About films that were screening.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fifth Period, the film podcast hosted by two media teachers, where today it's especially cold out there, and the big question on everybody's lips,
On their chapped lips.
right? Do you think Phil is going to come out and see his shadow?
Punxsutawney Phil.
That's right, woodchuck chuckers. It's Groundhog Day. My name is Mr. Brown, and with me as always is...
Mr. Boylan.
That was a bit of fun.
That was a good, nice little intro. I was wondering, we had a lot of different pathways we could have gone. In fact, we could have been doing the intro all day, just stuck in a loop. But we're not going to because we've got the rest of the podcast to kick on with.
We sure do, mate. First time you'd seen this film.
It is, yes. I think it had been on the list. Potentially might have been on the docket for Film Club at one stage earlier in the year.
Yeah.
I think
maybe Zach put it out there.
Because I think I started to watch it, just in case it watched the first 20 minutes. So essentially I've watched the whole film. But no, this was the first time watching it fully. Yeah, had a pretty good time with it. I wouldn't say thoroughly enjoyed like I'm jumping out of my bones, but I had a good time with it. I think always when I hear about a film that's potentially considered one of the greatest comedy films of all time, I was like, well, it's no Barb and Stargate or Viscera Del Mar, but I did definitely enjoy this film, and I definitely think this is like peak Bill Murray, for sure.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorites. I've been desperate to do it, just waiting for someone to recommend it. Yep. So I was really glad it got on. I've also seen the live musical version of it too.
They played the video game?
I can't say that I have. There's a video game?
There's a sequel, and it's Phil's son, who then also goes to the town and gets stuck at a loop.
Oh my goodness. What are the odds?
Clearly they don't have a good relationship, and it says like, hey, don't go to that town.
Something in the gene pool there.
Exactly, in the Connors lineage.
Bit of a different setup for today. So I've been sick. You were sick a couple of weeks back. I was sick last week. You're such a trendsetter, mate.
That's what I do. I set a trend and you follow, Mr. Brown.
So we're going to be recording 2 pods this week. So we're making this one a little bit shorter. We're only going to do one extra segment. But in addition to talking Groundhog Day today, we will also be chatting about our weekly watches.
So certainly knocked over a few of those when we were sick. So.
Oh, yes. So if you want to skip ahead to that, I will leave time codes in the description below.
Hi, it's Saskia, and today we will be talking about Groundhog Day.
A big thank you to Saskia for her intro to the pod today. Now, I don't actually teach Saskia, but the Friday that we watched this in Film Club, I'd taken her for an extra. So it was like it was a Year 7 music class, and it's just awesome to take those classes and see really enthusiastic and talented kids playing their instruments. It was very, very good. All the good vibes in that class. But Saskia's also been sitting front and center for the last couple of film clubs. She's part of the very strong Year 7 cohort that we have.
Continues to grow week by week. It's obviously the demographic of Film Club has changed in recent weeks with the seniors finishing up, but not too many empty chairs. The sevens have come in and taken their place with gusto and energy, and Saskia's certainly been one of those.
Oh, yes, and she's there to support Sarah anytime she doesn't have a Zupa Duper. She races on out and she grabs on for it.
What a champion.
Gotta love that. But no, it's been great to see some of the younger students. Obviously a good sign for things to come in future years as well.
Absolutely. Keep that momentum going into 2025.
Ooh, yeah. Thanks heaps, Saskia. Alrighty, let us jump in. So we kick things off and we meet Phil, a conceited weatherman played by Bill Murray. Now, this is a very familiar character for Bill Murray.
Just a very sarcastic, narcissistic... I felt like
shamelessly hitting on people.
I felt like I was back watching like his like TV show that he does in Ghostbusters 2. That was kind of like what it felt like, and I was like, it's just that's the through line. I mean, obviously it's another Ramis and Murray collaboration.
Yeah, the one where they butted heads so much that it broke up their friendship. So,
Yeah.
bit of a sad story there.
Because his like marriage was ending, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
Bill Murray in very much struggle town, and they were really struggling, him and Ramis, to agree on the tone of the movie.
Yeah, so look, it's been said before that Bill Murray's hard to work with under the best circumstances, just because he sort of sets his own schedule. He has a lot of ideas about what the character should be doing, and sometimes that clashes with the director's vision, but he had worked with Harold Ramis quite a lot before. Stripes, Ghostbusters. Was Harold Ramis involved in like Caddyshack days and stuff like that?
It might have done some writing on it. I can't remember if he directed Caddyshack or not. I think this was their maybe 6th or 7th project that they'd worked together on,
Yeah,
so clearly a
very
great deal of
close.
familiarity with them. And later on, Bill Murray has spoken glowingly about sort of his relationship with Ramis and talked, really highly of him. But yeah, Bill had all these obvious resentments towards the production, so that makes the project really hard. And then, given the fact that you're dealing with really extreme weather conditions,
Yep.
it didn't sound like the greatest of times on set.
No. And it's always sad when you hear about these kind of Hollywood friendships that split apart. They seem like they're inseparable, and then they end up not talking for a huge amount of time. But
It's like 14 years, basically.
yeah, but fortunately they did rekindle their friendship and kind of bury the hatchet when it was actually shortly before Ramis passed away, I believe.
It was like a week or two. Yeah, it was really...
He came to the house while he was kind of bedridden, and they made up, and apparently the story sounds very touching.
Yeah, and I think they had, when they were talking about... when they were doing press for like things like Ghostbusters Afterlife, and obviously they get a sort of a ghost version of Harold Ramis in that, and him and Bill Murray sort of have a bit of a moment in Afterlife, and that was really good. And like listening to Bill Murray in those press interviews talking about Harold Ramis, did allude to obviously some disagreements they had, but also really spoke about how important that relationship was for him. One thing I did find interesting, sort of talking like pre-production, that Harold Ramis didn't originally want Bill Murray.
Oh, I never knew that.
Wanted Tom Hanks.
Okay.
And then he's like, nah, he said Tom Hanks is too nice to play this character.
But he is a good actor.
He is a good actor, but I don't know if he could play this much of a...
Yeah.
Because they talk about like Bill Murray to ask like Harold Ramis, like, do you want good Phil or bad Phil for this take?
So
Sometimes it's both.
Yeah.
But when
Sometimes it is both.
we see all of it sort of on display. Originally, so straight into the weather report.
Well, like the fact that we're talking how he kind of goes off script, and Bill Murray always does a lot of improv, and you can see it right off the bat. He's like, what's that going to mean for us? One of these big blue things. Like, surely that's not scripted.
Maybe. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
You get a really good understanding of his character, super sarcastic, immediately work out he can't do the weather tomorrow because he's
heading
off
to Punxsutawney to report on Groundhog Day, which is a real tradition.
Yeah, that was one thing. It was pretty cool to sort of find out that it is actually a famous event that obviously now has been immortalized by this movie.
Yeah, but it was celebrated regionally in the US and Canada every February 2nd. Basically, a groundhog comes out, and if he sees his shadow and runs back inside, it means 6 more weeks of winter. Otherwise, it's going to be an early spring.
Correct. And
Bit silly, bit kitschy, but small town.
Unique concept to sort of like move the film around. Although obviously not as simple as that, as we'll get into. But
Boy, is he thrilled to be going.
Yeah, for the third time.
Four.
Is really driving home how miserable he is. But we also meet who's going with him.
Larry the cameraman.
Yes.
Chris Elliott, who is just killing it in this. I love it.
Listeners might know him best more recently as Roland in Schitt's Creek.
Yes.
And he's brilliant in that. But he's just a really good character actor, is in a lot of the good things. He's in Scary Movie 2.
He's also in some of the bad things then, I guess.
Use my strong hand. But yeah, he's really good at it. And then we also meet Rita, who's played by Andie MacDowell. I love Andie MacDowell.
She is great in everything, but in this in particular, she really captures... So she's his new producer, and she really captures this kind of unwavering enthusiasm for life.
Yep.
Even when we first see her, she's in front of the blue screen wearing her big blue snow coat.
She's mucking around.
Like, whoa,
This is
I don't have a
cool.
body. Whoa. It's really fun. Like, she's got this very infectious, positive vibe.
And you can see as well that like Phil's interested.
She's fun. She's not my kind of fun.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess off they go to Punxsutawney.
Oh, we get that funky tune.
Very 1993.
Oh, I love it.
But you kind of get immediately that he's a bit of a lone wolf, that he doesn't want to really hang out with, describes himself as the talent. Very happy to know that he's basically not staying with them and he's staying at a different bed and breakfast.
The contrast between him and Rita is so prominent so early. Like when she's in the van and she's describing the traditions and like he comes out, he wrinkles up his little nose. People
basically-
like it. Yeah, people like blood sausage too. People are morons. Do that thing again. Here, I'm just gonna bring down the mirror. Do that thing again.
Doesn't want to like hang out with them. He's like, all right, cool. I'm not eating with you. I think Larry obviously has worked with him a few times before, and he's sort of communicating. And it's just like this is what he's like.
And but he obviously has a reputation too. That's why she booked him in the B&B instead of like the hotel that they're staying in.
Correct.
Like she knows that he needs things, anything to keep you happy. And he's like, "Would you help me with my pelvic tilt?"
Very, very good. But
So Groundhog Day officially starts.
I do. We wake up to Sonny and shares "I Got You, Babe."
Oh, I love it. And then those DJs are just going full pelt, aren't they?
Yeah, and if you find that too much, well, bad luck.
Yeah, because you're going to get it a lot.
Yes. Cherry ripe with enthusiasm.
Yeah, but they do a really good job here of kind of setting up a sequence of events that cool, we can cycle through these again. So you got like, obviously the song and the radio, but then you got the guy that's outside his door.
Yep.
You've got the owner of the B&B who's making like the coffee for him, the piano
She's
teacher
great.
who's walking down the street off to the Groundhog Festival, the homeless man, Ned Ryerson stopping him.
Good old Stephen Tobolowsky.
Bing! He's so annoying and I love it.
Yeah, he's really good at playing these sort of characters. I know him best from Glee because I know he plays a teacher in that.
Oh,
But
yeah?
I'm pretty sure the teacher's name might even be like Sandy Ryerson or something like that.
That sounds about right,
Which
yeah.
is I didn't realize that before. I was just like, okay, just give it the same surname. But yeah, appropriately annoying.
Yeah, he went to high school with Bill Murray's character, and I love, like, Bill Murray doesn't remember him at all. And he's, like, describing his talent from the talent show.
All these
and he's
events.
like, so, did you turn pro with that belly button thing?
I was
He's
just like,
so sarcastic.
I would love to stand and talk with you.
But I won't. And it works because Phil needs to be taken down a few pegs. So when we see him be inconvenienced like this, meeting someone who's very annoying or stepping in a puddle, it's a great source of comedy because they've already set him up as a bit of a jerk.
Yep.
Like, he's not a nice person. He's definitely not a nice person. He does bad things. But he's still fun to watch because I love that sarcasm. I've said it many times. We were talking about The Mask. I said, I love that sarcastic comedy that Jim Carrey often brings to a lot of his characters. And
Definitely what Bill Murray brings.
oh, yes.
It's
yes.
classic Murray.
And I suspect a bit of Murray might just be slipping through the cracks here too. I think he might just be playing himself.
I think so. I think so.
Am I right or am I right? Am I right?
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, jeez.
Too much?
No, that's
The perfect amount.
That's a perfect amount of Tobolowsky. But yeah, he gets through.
Where you been? You're missing all the fun. And he just looks around like,
Where is
the
fun you speak of?
What are you
I cannot
talking
find
about?
it. He gets through the piece of camera that he does with like a little bit of sarcasm creeping through at the sort of after the second part when the weather is announced by
This is the one time where television really fails to capture the true excitement of a large squirrel predicting the weather.
but yeah, this, we meet Punxsutawney Phil, the prognosticator of prognosticators.
You loved that guy. He's a
Bill-
real character actor.
He's Bill Murray's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's apparently it was the person who actually got him to basically build his bridges back up with Harold Ramis. So there you go.
There you go.
So good on him. But
That's
yeah,
very good.
He's got a very like unique voice that is like
does.
it immediately stands out. But yeah, so to get through the piece of camera, he's like really done with the whole thing.
When he's counting in, he's like, Larry, on me in 3, 2, 1, and then he's holding up his middle finger to the camera. And again, you just get this huge contrast between him just being like, I'm done with this, and Rita being so enchanted by the majesty of the event.
Yeah, because it's new for her, and she's got this, as you said, this like great sort of enthusiasm for life. I think it was really important.
Even with him slinging remarks at her. You sleep all right without me? You tossed and turned all night, didn't you?
Yeah, and she's like, okay, I'm just going to push past this casual sexual harassment.
Yeah, exactly.
And just go through. But yeah, they can't leave the town basically because there's a big old blizzard that he thought was basically not going to hit them. But as is the way with a lot of weather people, they are wrong.
Yeah, roads are closed and all the long distant lines are down. And I love when he's on the phone, he goes, don't you have a line you keep open for celebrities or emergencies?
I'm both.
I'm a celebrity and an emergency.
I am the talent, as he says. But yeah, not able to get out. Criticizes Larry's jumper because he's like going to sell Girl Scout cookies or whatever.
Looking foxy tonight, man. Is your troop still selling cookies again this year?
Brutal. I didn't think it was a bad jumper.
I just love the delivery of it. Looking foxy tonight.
Foxy. That needs to be used in the lexicon a little bit more. But no, gets appropriately burnt by a lack of burning water because there's a very cold shower.
Yeah, good. Very cold shower. And isn't there any hot water? No, there wouldn't be today. Oh, of course.
Why would there be?
Silly me.
But yeah, goes to sleep and he's ready to leave the next day. However, there is no next day.
There isn't a next day. And I like even how he wakes up in the bed. He's like cinched in, like he's trapped.
Like a burrito.
Yeah, but he's trapped in the town. He's trapped in the bed.
He's just constantly trapped. But yeah.
We go again.
Yeah. So this is obviously the whole premise of the film. This is why if we talk about things being monotonous and feel like we're going through the motions, the reason that we use Groundhog Day is because of this movie. It's basically birthed that idea into...
But I will commend this film for the fact that it is repeating things and it doesn't feel monotonous. I mean, look, you might have your own opinion on this, but I think they do a perfect blend of showing you the hits throughout the day without making it drag on too long. And very quickly, he starts to do different things throughout the day as well, which keeps it fresh.
And then it goes through like different... Like it'll start the day at different points because it's like, and that's a good thing.
You get this now.
Exactly. You're like, you're not stupid. We're not going to play down to the audience. It's like, you know that all the days are repeating, so we might start him off around lunchtime or like after he's done the broadcast or he's decided not to do it or he's going out that night or whatever it's going to be. So I think that part was good. I think I had a look. It was like 37 or 38 days in total. That's how many days he's stuck in the loop. But you never obviously get all of those days in full.
Yeah, that might be how many separate days they show him in the loop.
Yeah.
But it's been speculated that he's in there for like 10 years to 30 years.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, well, it's I think it was Columbia Pictures requested that he only be in there for 2 weeks, which obviously he isn't, because think of the skills he learns with like ice sculpting and playing the piano and all that sort of stuff. But Ramis originally estimated that he was in there for 10,000 years and then later said, no, look, it's probably about 10 years.
Let's meet in the middle. That's fine. Yeah. Between 2 and 10,000.
But do you want to know why Columbia Pictures originally said that they wanted it to only be 2 weeks? Because they didn't think audiences could handle it if he was stuck there for too long.
And they were wrong.
Well, it's kind of like... You do think, oh, geez, that's kind of soul-crushing if he was there for 10 years.
Well, I mean, that's the tone that they were like, that Ramis really sort of wanted to do. That he wanted to get like a lot more dark and depressive with it, which obviously we get elements of that as this film goes on, but it's still balanced out by, it's still a comedy film. So.
But he's still trying to work things out at this point, and he says to Mrs. Lancaster, do you ever have deja vu?
No, but I can check with the kitchen.
So good.
That's one of my favourite lines in the movie. That was a proper laugh.
And I like that the previous day he told her that there was a 100% chance of departure. And now he's like 80, 75, 80. But we get Ned again and the entrance to the festival, and they're even shot the same way.
Yep.
And I like that because then it makes us, the audience, also feel like we're repeating, because it's like that's the same exact camera movement coming through. And I wanted to ask you, do you reckon they film all of these in a row? Like they do all the Ned sequences in one day?
Well, apparently the specific one about Ned, I think I'm not sure if it was because of the weather that day or something like that, or something maybe to do with like the sign that they have, because they actually have like a Ned sign or something like that in the background, because obviously it was like an actual town and they replaced a few of the signs, but that one they couldn't I don't know if they had to put the sign back or something like that, but I think all of the Ned Ryerson scenes they filmed in the same day.
Yeah, right. Because it is a bit of a balance. Like when you are working on a film, you want to, for the sake of production, you'd want to film everything in the same location on the same day. But for the sake of your actors who are supposed to be evolving and changing, a lot of times they do still try and film things in order so that they can go on like the character journey as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky.
It is tricky. They sort of like move through it a little bit. Like they have...
He does the report. It's Groundhog Day. Again.
He's still like, because at this stage for day 2, he's still kind of like, am I in a dream? Like, it feels like a little bit weird.
When will the lines be repaired? Well, what if there is no tomorrow? There wasn't one today.
Then sort of like when it goes to day 3, he's freaked out. Like this is, okay, like once is maybe enough, but this is like, yeah, a little bit sort of freaky because then we get a new set, which is nice. We go to the diner.
Yes.
And yeah, he's quite freaked out. I think this is where I probably from this point in the movie, I'm starting to get a little bit more interested because it's just showing a lot more of Bill Murray's range, I think, like emotionally and what he can do in a film. Like we've moved past sort of the purely sarcastic, Venkman style character in the, first 20 odd minutes of the film to him, like really going through the motions.
He's quite anxious here. Like you see him shaking, looking around, darting around, and that kind of then makes him a lot more sympathetic as a character. But yeah, he tries to tell Rita what's going on, but for obvious reasons, she doesn't believe him.
Nope.
When he pulls her away to talk to her, Larry's like, hey, forget it, Larry. This is a creatives meeting.
Poor Larry.
So she suggests he go see a doctor.
And which doctor does he go see?
Oh, Dr. Ramus.
Dr. Ramus, that's what they call him. Dr. Spengler, he's in this movie. It's a shared universe.
Hey, he's a little sarcastic too.
He is.
Oh, right, the blizzard. This magical blizzard.
And he handballs him off to a psychologist.
Yeah,
very quickly.
Is just the worst, isn't he? You went to college, right? It wasn't veterinary psychology, was it?
Very sarcastic and sassy medical practitioners in Punxsutawney.
Well, look, the psychologist wants him to come back the next day, but obviously he can't. He goes to the bowling alley with the two guys. What are their names?
Gus and Ralph.
Gus and Ralph. They're fun. What would you do if you were stuck in the same place every day and nothing you did ever mattered? Well, that about sums it up for me. So I think it's Gus is played by the guy from The Burbs. You've seen The Burbs? It's despite all my recommendations.
Yeah, no, it is. It's on my list.
But he's very, very good.
He's the one who kind of looks like...
I think his name's Rick Dukeman.
He looks like from Billy Madison, the bus driver.
Oh, Chris Farley.
Yeah, he kind of looks a little bit like Chris Farley.
That Veronica Vaughn.
One piece of ace.
So they're too drunk to drive.
But that's okay.
You want to throw up here or you want to throw up in the car? I think both. It's all right, because Gus can drive. Friends don't let friends drive.
I really don't think I should be driving.
No, I don't either.
This is kind of when like Phil starts to, I don't know, just get like a bit more dark. And
it's their idea. They very cleverly point out that if there's no tomorrow, then nothing matters, no consequences.
Correct. So he's going to basically drive off and then also get involved in a chase with a cop car.
It's very good. This was also one of my, maybe this was my second favorite sequence from the musical as well. They were on like an open plan car, bumping as they're going on the train tracks.
That's good.
And then lights go down and come back up, and it's like a bird's eye view of the cop car chasing it. It's just little models on sticks.
That's cool.
It was awesome.
Enjoyed
it was
that.
so good.
This is kind of like when I was talking about like Ramis wanting to take it darker. There was originally he wanted Phil to actually participate in like a lot more criminal activities.
Right. Well, he does a fair few.
But a lot more like we would not be showing this film at film club.
Righto.
So, yeah.
Yikes.
And yeah.
I do like this sequence too where he's like reciting all the things that you couldn't do as a kid. Clean your teeth before bed. Oh, yeah. And don't drive on the railroad tracks. That common expression that your parents always used to say to you.
It's probably the second thing they ever told me.
But you did it anyway.
I did.
And as the train was coming, you were like, I'm betting he's going to swerve first.
That's that one thing that trains do, swerve. He just gets like really like loose for this one. It's probably like one of the best days, I think, in the movie when he just completely socks Ned in the face, lets someone else walk in the pothole, eats like 20,000 things at the diner.
Yeah.
He's just like, no, that's it. He makes a choice, basically.
Well, he chooses chaos because he's seen that there are no consequences. Like the previous day, he crashed the car. He went to jail. He woke up back in bed. He was fine. Mm-hmm. I love when the cops come to the window and he pretends it's like a fast food restaurant.
Really
He's like, oh, yeah, we'll have 3 cheeseburgers, 2 large fries, 2 chocolate shakes, and 1 large Coke. And some flapjacks. Too early for flapjacks?
It's good. It's good.
But yeah, as you said, we got Chaos Day, and he's happier now because he's kind of found a little loophole.
Yeah, and then he starts to use his powers for evil.
Oh my
Like,
God.
Risen up.
Nancy Taylor.
Exactly. Finds out like all this information about her.
Name, what high school she went to, and the name of her English teacher.
And then he bumps into her the next day at the Groundhog Day ceremony and uses that all as a way to basically broach conversation with her, and then eventually...
I still think he comes on too strong, though, because he's like,
He does.
you look terrific. You look very, very terrific.
And at that stage, you'd be like, ooh,
Yeah.
red flag.
It's funny, though, because when he approaches her in the diner and he's just like a stranger, she doesn't seem very interested at all. And then when he's like, we went to high school together, now she's really interested just because they have this tangible link.
That doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
But she's gullible enough to be like, oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. She's not a very fleshed out character.
No. Rita, right?
Yeah. That was really interesting to me. I'd forgotten that he calls Nancy Rita when they're fooling around. Maybe even more than twice.
Nancy.
Whatever.
I didn't realize that his interest in Rita
Was early
was
on.
Exactly. Obviously, we've had him like shamelessly flirting and hitting on her and stuff,
but not like a deep emotional connection. That
Yeah,
he'd be
whereas-
mentioning her name while with
another woman. Exactly right. Like here, you're kind of like, oh, I mean, everything we've seen with you and Rita, you seem almost disgusted by her unwavering enthusiasm.
Makes me sick.
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, opposites attract sometimes.
Yeah,
That's fine.
well, obviously they do.
But yeah,
and
plants a seed here. Which is
yeah, and I also don't like to fix it after he says the wrong name. He tells Nancy he loves her, and Nancy's so happy with this. You just met him that day. Why are you happy that a man is telling you that he loves you?
This love
on your
bombing
first
shouldn't
date?
work.
Doesn't do it for me.
No.
So we start to get a sense that he's been there for a little while now because one of the other criminal
auction,
activity that he does is he robs an armored truck.
Yep.
He's mapped out all their footsteps.
And how does he decide to spend that money? By getting a nice car and dressing like Marty McFly from Back to the Future Part 3.
Yeah, I love this Clint Eastwood kind of outfit. It's so good. Call me Bronco.
Why?
Because it's funny, I guess.
Okay,
I love
play
it.
on.
He's got the French maid outfit for his date. She looks straight out of Clue.
Are they going to like a costume party?
No, you said this was a costume party. It's like it's clearly a movie theater. What were you thinking?
What movie are they going to see?
Heidi 2. So it is not a real movie.
Okay.
Heidi is a real movie, and it's about a man who travels to a small town and is forced to work as a servant there. So, bit of a
Hey,
parallel.
nice. I like
Go
that.
to a small town and you're trapped there. I also like when he goes to order the ticket, 1 adult and, well, yeah, 2 adults, I guess.
Yeah, to enjoy this. And then Nancy goes past. There's my ex-wife.
Yeah. Hey, Nancy. And she's like, who is that?
Who are you, Clint Eastwood, Marty McFly?
Oh, jeez. But then he turns the moves on Rita.
And he's putting more time in.
He starts just asking about her in general first. And you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. And then he's immediately like, what kind of guy do you like?
Yeah, just to get real inquisitive.
It's so good, the responses. First of all, he's too humble to know he's perfect. That's me. Intelligent, supportive, funny. Me. And then the best one, he's got a good body, but he doesn't have to look in the mirror every 2 minutes. I've got a great body, and sometimes I go months without looking in a mirror. Oh, dear.
It's excellent. It's excellent. But yeah, they gets the drink order right with the sweet vermouth on the rocks.
Yes.
And yeah,
Just keeps repeating it until he gets everything perfected.
yeah, until it's time to go outside and do a Frozen song.
Do a Frozen.
Do you want to build a
snowman? Yeah.
I do.
Well, this is the thing, though. So many of the things that he repeats the day to get right. I'm like, do you need that? Do you need to order the same drink? Do you need to know that white chocolate's her favorite?
Do you need to piff snowballs at kids?
Did you need to repeat the day to know not to laugh at what you went to college for? for poetry. I love he just bursts out laughing.
Like, damn, that's a good way to support, who you're interested in.
But I do like that on the repeats, you can see he's getting tired by it. Like, he races through things a lot more. He's like not doing it with the natural flair that he did the first time.
It's getting a bit by the
It's
numbers.
just formulaic. And it's really cool because she says something like, oh, you couldn't plan a day like this. And he's like, oh, you could. It would just take you a really long time.
Which he does.
Yeah, it seems like he's kind of worked out everything. It's perfect. They go back to his room.
Well, one interesting thing just before we get there on the snowball fight, so apparently Ramus just told the kids, let him have it. Like
He
fully,
deserves this now.
Yeah, so then Bill Murray was like, all right, you guys can get stuff. So then he returned fire, like absolutely. And you can go back and look, he is pinging those snowballs and so are the kids. And because he's getting legitimately annoyed by it.
Hey, ow, are any of you up for adoption?
I'm like, good.
That's good. I
Deliberately
enjoy that.
rile up Bill Murray even more.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're having such a good time behind the scenes.
Oh man, who knows what he'd do? But yeah, he gets through the full day and then ruins it right at the end by coming on a little too strong.
He goes like really just too far.
I guess there's an element of frustration there because he's done this so many times. He's never gotten this far. It's actually all seems to be going really well. They're having a nice time together.
Having a nice dance in the gazebo.
And
everything.
even though morally it's not great that he's using the day's setup to find out information and stuff, it does also look like they're really enjoying each other's company for the most part in this section. And then he comes on a little strong because he knows at the end of the day, it's going to reset and all of this goes away.
Exactly. Like there's no consequences for his actions, which is, continually sort of being established as it goes on. My best line from this is when like Rita sort of basically checks out from the whole thing and she's like, and I ate fudge. Yuck. That's the straw that broke the camel's back, eating fudge.
No, look, to be fair, my comment that I made about Nancy being way too receptive to his love, that's what breaks the camel's back. Rita hears him say, I love you. And she's like, what? You don't love me?
You barely know me.
Exactly,
We've
yeah.
been hanging out for 2 days, or day and a half, basically.
And I'm like, yes, get it, girl. That is the correct response. You would not be happy with that.
No.
He pulled a Ted Mosby on you.
He did Bill Mosby.
And one of my favorite scenes is what immediately comes after this, where you get this full day trying to repeat it. And everything is like so half-assed.
It goes wrong.
I'm doing it in fast motion. And she's like almost trying to keep up with what he's doing.
It's like, what are we doing here? Is this a bit Bill Murray?
Well, it's just such a great kind of message about not being able to replicate the spontaneity of that romance as well.
Correct. He keeps looking to do the same things but then make little changes, and then he can't. It gets worse every time, basically, and keeps breaking down.
Well, and because his heart's not in it either.
No. And
she sees right through it, and there's a big old slap montage.
Yes, he's getting cracked in the face a lot.
Stop it!
And as a result, he plunges into depression.
Yeah. There's a really good shot of him like sort of laying in bed doing the morning news broadcast.
The giant clock come down. Oh man, I love that shot.
That was cool. He smashes the alarm clock. Apparently he couldn't quite like break it properly, so they actually had to smash it and then put it back
Before
in.
his, yeah. We get him watching Jeopardy with the old people.
What is Titicaca?
So good. And when he turns to the owner of the B&B and just like stares at her really menacingly and just says the answer, it's like she's terrified.
It's like, what is this?
Very good.
But yeah, and then the next day is really good when he just basically decides, it's like, well, just stop the whole thing. I'm going to just take the Groundhog.
Oh, yeah, because he's really hit rock bottom. Like, I'll give you a winter prediction. It's going to be cold, it's going to be grey, and it's going to last you for the rest of your life. And as you said, he kidnaps Punxsutawney Phil.
Apparently, Bill Murray got bitten twice during this so badly he needed a rabies shot.
Yikes.
Yeah.
He looks pretty bad in this thing. You see the bags under his eyes here?
That's probably why.
Yeah, but it's a cute sequence too with him behind the wheel.
Don't
driving.
drive angry. Don't drive angry.
I thought you'd done that on purpose. I
Nah.
thought you were
Oh,
steering
mate.
into the cuteness of it.
Don't drive angry. that's what that is the cute way of saying angry. That is what they say, not me.
The assistant to the mayor, like the deputy mayor or whatever, when he steals it, there's this hilarious wide shot of him being like, he's going this way, and he's waving his arm. It's like, yeah, they can see where he's going.
You idiot. That's why you're the deputy mayor,
idiot.
you're not the head honcho.
Exactly it.
Outside of the reason you're not Bill Murray's brother. That's probably why.
The build up to him driving off at the quarry, as he gets close to the cliff, and Larry, in 3, 2, 1, goes over the edge.
Yeah. You got the shot? Yeah, that's right.
It's such a good crash too. It's like, he might be okay. Explosion.
Yeah.
Well, probably not now.
Yeah, he's comfortably dead. And this sort of starts a trend of Phil starting to take his life in a lot of different
Yes.
ways. This
So-
is where it really gets pretty dark.
It's dark, but this was my favorite sequence in the musical because they do it as a song and it's a montage
Oh,
of
God.
him essentially taking his own life, but they keep doing a Texas switch. So
What is the Texas switch, Mr. Brown?
So a Texas switch is when you have a body double that you somehow do kind of a trick of the camera or you duck behind something and then the body double takes over.
Mm-hmm.
Usually you do it with a stuntman so that he can do a stunt and it makes it look like the actor has done the stunt. But in
like
live
a stage,
productions,
yeah.
they do it when they want a character to get from one position to another position in the blink of an eye. So he would kind of lead into things. There was one part where he put like the mascot Punxsutawney Phil head on himself, but it was really on the body double. The body double goes, walks in front of a van, and then he immediately wakes up in bed again. And they did this like 3 or 4 times.
That's cool.
It
Yeah.
was awesome. It was really, really cool. The switches were like seamless, and there was a trap door in the bed. So all of a sudden, after he died, he'd just pop out, and it was really cool.
That's
really, really cool.
That's good set design. I like that. I like that a lot.
But yeah, it's a pretty dark sequence.
Yeah.
And even when he's on like the slab, and Larry's like, he was a great guy. I really liked him.
It's like, no, you didn't. And fair enough too.
Yeah.
Finally, probably like after sort of like he hits rock bottom essentially with what's going on, finally sort of gets through to Rita. This is sort of where things like kind of like the movie starts to change a little bit. I like sort of this build into the third act.
I'm a god. I'm not the god.
They end up spending the entire day together because she's starting to believe what he's talking about and at least supporting him a little bit more.
Yeah, I love that too because when she does believe him, she goes, how else could you know so much? There is no other way. I'm not that smart.
This is all ends up being like kind of like the best date that they have.
It's really cute because it all starts off in the diner where he's going around talking about each person and she's kind of enchanted by that.
And she's like, what about me?
Yeah, and he obviously knows about her too, but he says quite flattering things about her. Just a side note, you know that couple that was going to get married, but Debbie was having second thoughts? You know who she was marrying? Michael Shannon.
I thought I recognized him.
It is a blink and you miss it role. I didn't see it in that scene, but I saw it when they meet up at the party at the end.
We'll get there.
yeah.
I enjoy that, what they talk about there.
It's pretty funny.
Because obviously he's worked out that she really likes French poetry, or just poetry in general, but and then sort of,
Oh, that's cute when he's reading the
and falling
poetry.
asleep and stuff, and yeah, he gets a lot more introspective. He compliments her like quite genuinely, and he's like, "Sorry, did you say something?" Because she's basically fallen asleep, so she didn't hear it.
I know, but it wouldn't matter anyway because the day was going to reset. But
Right.
he basically says, like, you're too good for me, essentially. You would never be with me, but if I could, I would love you for every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah, very cute.
It is. It's super cute. And we also get another bit of an indication of how long he has been there because they're playing the card game. She's like, oh, I could do this for the rest of my life. I'd never be good at it. And he's like, nah, it'd take you about 6 months.
Damn,
Develop the skills.
6 months. Woofed.
Oofed, baboofed.
Oof. The common phrase.
The common plumber. Oof, baboof.
Let's bring that back.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of like after this night with Rita, there's
a
like,
new perspective on life.
yeah, he just has like a greater appreciation for life. So he gives the homeless man like a lot of cash. He gets coffees and pastries for the crew.
Learns to play piano.
Yep. Just like takes more interest in Larry. He's like, do you have kids, Larry?
Oh, I love that. We never talk.
Yeah. We never talk. Do you have children? This is the normal first thing that you ask someone. But
I
he
love it.
Wants to learn piano. And then,
Ice sculpting as well.
yes. He kicks out the other student because after basically
Gives $1,000
cash. I was like, that poor girl.
A bit of a step backwards in terms of him doing nice things. Kicking the kid out of their lesson.
I mean, he doesn't. The piano teacher does. That was
True.
her,
I
that was
really
her
want to get
prerogative.
started. I could give you $1,000.
Like, yep, I'll take that. Just gets rid of Ned with overwhelming positivity.
Gives him like a big hug.
I'm good,
Are
man.
you on your way anywhere? Could you cancel?
And I was like, no, you've come at with me with too much energy. You've out Ryerson.
I didn't think you could out Ryerson, but apparently
He was a bigger
it's
needlehead than
possible.
him, so there you go.
Needlehead. But then, very drastic,
Yeah.
sharp change into a darker scene again.
With the old man, the homeless man, yeah.
Homeless man passes away multiple times, and you
This
see
is
Bill
grim.
Murray like really trying to save him. Takes him to the diner for food. Takes him to hospital. Doing like CPR in the alley. It's really dark.
I like the bit when he does take him to the diner and then he changes bowls with him because he says like, oh, the last bits are a bit hard to get out of the bowl. I just like that. It was just really good.
It is really, really nice. Like, and the best kind of comedy movies, I reckon, are the ones that do have these darker moments in it because it makes both of those areas stronger.
Yep.
If you've just had a comedic scene and then a really dark scene, it makes it feel even darker, and vice versa too. Those lighter moments then feel nicer as well.
Contrast and light and shade. That's what we can,
That's it.
keep telling the kids in their own films.
That's it. And then we get to the final day.
That's it.
Kicks off with him delivering the inspirational report, and everyone's gathered around to hear it. And like
buzz.
Larry's like tearing up,
I think
and
that was a beautiful speech, man.
Rita's like swooning, and she's like, "Oh, do you have to race off? Can we maybe get a coffee?"
Yeah,
He's
he's like, "Oh."
I'd love to, but I got to run some errands."
Like catching a fid calling out of a tree.
A fid calling out of a tree, eh?
a kid falling out of a tree.
You have never thanked me. I'll see you tomorrow, maybe. And he won't see him tomorrow because this is his final day.
That's it. He jacks the lady's car, fixes that, which is great.
I love it. Heimlich for the mayor.
Yes.
Convinces Debbie to get married.
Oh yeah, party on, which is really good. And he's like playing keys and everything like that.
He
Obviously,
even
'cause
bought
he makes the-
insurance off Ned.
Finally
goodness.
did. Yeah, all the people thank him while him and Rita are having a dance. But yeah,
What did you do today? Same old, same old.
when Michael Shannon and it comes up and then he like gets him a gift and he's like WrestleMania, and I was like, that would be my reaction too. That was pretty good. To borrow a wrestling term, that got a big pop out of me. So that was very,
dear.
very good. But
So
yeah,
you can see Rita is really captivated by him now, and I like that he gets Rita to fall for him, not because he's catering to her, but just because he has this new zest for life.
yeah, that's what she finds most appealing, basically.
Absolutely. Which is fortunate because he's about to be auctioned off in
Yeah.
the Bachelor auction.
Exactly, and he's quite a popular figure, but Rita wins.
She does. $339.88.
Very specific number.
That after she buys him, then Larry's like, "Oh, I'm gonna jump up there too." And the music that they play, it's like, ba-da-da-da, oh,
He does a bit of a
ba-da-da-da.
turnaround and stuff, and
the old lady buys him for 25 cents, and he just looks out into the crowd and goes, "Oh shit."
it's good. It's good. Yeah, you talked about obviously the fact that he got life insurance off Ned, and then the way they're like leaving and stuff like that. Ned's like, "Where are we going?" And Rita's like, "Let's not spoil it." He's like, "I got it." And then he just goes like "rawr" or something like that at the end of the show. He does a Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
But
Oh
yeah,
no, he goes like, yeah, it's higher pitched. Yeah,
it was an interesting choice.
yeah. He's
Classic
weird.
Tobolowsky.
Well, no, it fits for Ned though, right? He's a weirdo.
He's a bit of a weird unit.
Now I don't know if you noticed this, but when it cuts to them sitting outside and he's like sculpting her,
Yes.
there's a wide shot, and there's a really bad dub here. She goes, "Why can't I look?" And she is not talking at all.
I thought there was something weird with that shot.
It's
That's
very
bad.
strange. It's also weird that he's able to sculpt that with his hands, and it's like a solid block of ice.
Nah. It's amazing what you can do with 10 years.
Yeah, that's so true.
That's how something works. But yeah, they have like a good chat. And,
He says he loves her again, though.
yeah, and doesn't
Doesn't freak
totally
her out. It would freak me out. Still too soon. Still too soon.
Too
10 years.
soon.
Too soon.
Red flag.
Too soon.
But yeah, we finally get a different start to the day. We get a little,
Well, the same start with "I Got You, Babe."
but just a different part of the song. So clearly they played it like a minute earlier or something like that.
Maybe.
But wakes up and then reveals that Rita is actually sleeping next to him. And
Something is different. Good or bad, anything different is good. I do think their moments here are really cute too. I love, "Why are you here? I bought you. I own you."
Classic Andy McDowell.
But yeah, they go outside and you get that lovely final shot through the archway as they're
Really
walking down the
good.
street.
I like that.
And it's playing, it's almost like being in love. Almost. But
Almost.
It's only been one day.
It's
so
only been one day, even if he's
let's
in
not get
love.
too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. So no, it was good. I because people talk a lot about the messages of this film, because I think like a lot of like religious sects like really praise this movie for like thematically what it talks about, like second chances and making time count and these sort of things. Had a really good impact for just over 20 years, 30 years rather.
The 30 years that he was stuck in that time loop.
Exactly.
Cool. Should we move on to weekly watches?
We shall.
Weekly watches. Weekly watches. I love you.
Oh my goodness, I'm exhausted. We're speeding through this. How many weekly watches do you have?
I have 4.
I have 5.
Cool. Do you want to go first then, Mark?
Sure, but let's talk about this one together. The Penguin. I finally finished it.
Oh, good.
I loved it.
It's so good.
So
good.
I adore the Batman. I think it's my favorite
The Batman with
Batman
Robert
movie.
Pattinson.
with Rob Bat. But I did not expect... I thought this would be enjoyable, the Penguin, and I really loved the character from the Batman, but I was like, oh, no Batman in it. Like, I don't know.
Not at all. Spoilers, there is no Batman in this outside of the bat symbol.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Which
I love
at
that.
times does feel like, well, where the hell is he?
Why isn't he doing anything to stop this?
Yeah, exactly.
So hopefully we'll find out in the Batman too.
Yeah. But I did not expect to enjoy this all that much. I was like, something to watch. I loved it. It's a real, like, underbelly...
Sopranos sort
Oh,
of.
yeah. Yeah, like seedy underworld kind of. Oh, man, I loved it. It's just crime family against crime family.
And just the incredible acting performances across the board. Like,
Kristen Milotti.
oh my God.
So good.
Like, awards buzz, I think, for both of the leads, I think, is 100% deserved. Oh, have you seen the clip where, like, I think it was the last day on set and Colin Farrell, still in his penguin makeup, switches back into his normal voice? I'm like, turn it off. That looks weird.
No, I haven't seen
It's
it.
terrifying.
Even though I've seen, like, the making of special episode as well, I haven't seen that clip.
He's like thanking like the crew and stuff in his normal Irish accent. I'm like,
I love
that's
that.
weird.
Yeah, apparently that was pretty rare. Like, he stayed in character once the makeup was on.
Yeah.
Yeah, the performances are everything.
They're really
That's what it is.
probably my favorite part of this. Kind of goes back to this whole thing about humanizing villains and getting people to root for them. It's why I don't like the Joker movies that much, because if it's the Joker, you shouldn't root for the Joker. The Joker's like one of the most evil characters in fiction history. They do a pretty good job getting you to care about Oz Cobb, which I don't like that. But anyway, that's fine. It makes you care about the Penguin, and then it takes it away right at the end, and that is so effective. Like, the last closing moments of the season finale is perfect. It's like, there is no reason why I should be rooting for this villain.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you a little bit. And
Well, they have to do that right at the end so that you can be like, oh, good, now he can be a villain in a Batman movie.
correct, because otherwise it's like, well, no. But
I don't want Batman to beat him.
That's the thing. And then, like, people talk about like humanizing villains and stuff, and it's why like Thanos is so successful in the MCU, but he's still a bad guy, and you constantly root for Penguin, for Vic. You root for Sophia as well, incredibly. Like, she ends up being like more of the hero of the...
It's really tricky when you're watching it. You're like, who am I rooting for?
Good.
Because,
That's what it should.
they're all good and they're all going head to head. I want you all to win.
Are you rooting for Sal?
I found myself wanting people to team up just so that they would both win.
Yeah. And then, like, with how Oz, like, sets up with his friend who's also a dancer, like, almost pretending to be his mum, who was in, like, a vegetative state. I was like, oh, this is messed up.
Yeah, Oz has a huge Oedipus complex.
Incredible.
It's the motivation for a lot of the bad things that he does in his life.
How things finish up, there's at least a little bit of a loose link to the Batman movie. I mean, there's links all over the place, but particularly with... a certain character. I'm looking forward to maybe a bit of a team up in Batman 2. I'm not sure. But yeah, I really hope that they weave Kristen Milotti's character, Sofia Falcone, Sofia Gigante, into the next films, because she's brilliant. Like she needs
she's
to
really
be.
good.
She needs to be
It
a
was
part
a
of this.
little disappointing that they did the actor replace with Mark Strong coming in.
Instead of John Turturro.
Do you know why?
I think scheduling just didn't work out,
Yeah,
which
right.
is really annoying. I'm more annoyed that they've now used Mark Strong to play a character that already exists in Batman when he could play so many other really good characters in the DC universe.
Oh yeah, I really like Mark Strong. I
Like-
just hate it whenever a character is replaced.
I would have really liked him as like a Hugo Strange maybe or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Glad you enjoyed it as well.
Nice.
I'll talk about a franchise that I've recently dipped my toes into. Careful, they're going to get cut off. But I've started watching the Saw movies. I'm currently up to Jigsaw, which I believe is 8. It's been a mixed bag. I watched them a lot when I was sick because if it's what else is going to get you better?
Well, you just look at it and you go, it could be worse.
Could be worse. It could be worse. Some of them I think have been good. I enjoyed.
Probably wouldn't return to them though.
No, I'm not going to make these like part of my.
Been
like,
there, saw that.
Nice, good. Yeah.
I threw you with my wordplay.
You did. I'm completely off guard. Saw 2 and 3 I enjoyed. And it starts to get like, it's all about Hoffman, the detective.
Strom and
Yeah, that's when it started to lose me a little bit, when there's less Tobin Bell, because I think he's brilliant.
you like Saw X then?
Good.
Or is Saw 7 the one where in the flashback he's got
Saw 7's the 3D one.
yeah, but he's got like the tiniest amount of Tobin Bell in it, and when they do to make him look younger, they put him in a backwards cap. So funny.
He's talking to the life insurance
Oh my
guy.
gosh, it's so funny.
I think, was that the life insurance guy or the guy who's pretending to be...
I think it's the author who wrote the book. He pretended he was a
wasn't trap.
victim.
Yeah, and then the trap he does, like, we're talking like the chains up to his pecs and stuff. That
But just so like
Yeah,
I've
no.
seen a lot of like memes and
What's
stuff
up, my
of,
fellow
like,
dudes?
of like de-aging people in movies and then being like, but no one ever did it as good as this, and then just putting him in a backwards cap.
That's how you do it. But yeah, so it's been interesting to sort of go back and look at this franchise. Like, obviously, I mean, it was a recent film that came out, but it's, it's kind of like peak sort of 2000s, like sort of 2010s horror. I've enjoyed parts of them, but yeah, again, this is not a franchise that I would enjoy. However, I've got some great ideas for some cuts into new scenes, because if I need to go into a different room, just throw someone through the mirror.
Incredible.
That's one of the best shots I've ever seen.
Honestly, I adore that. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't help to actually make the film flow, but I still think it's just one of the coolest transitions.
Yeah, and I was
ever.
like, stupid, great,
Yeah.
play on. But yeah, so the Saw films have been interesting.
nice. Next for me, The Substance. Mr. Whitson would be proud.
Finally.
You still haven't seen it.
Nah, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, fair enough. Wow, there's a few things that are sticking to it in this movie because
Ooh.
it's a goopy, gooey movie.
Cronenberg-y vibes.
Oh yeah, big old Cronenberg vibes. And I just want to really champion the acting in it. Incredible. Like, Demi Moore especially, I was captivated. So good.
Yeah.
Help me out here. Who's the...
Margaret Qualley.
Margaret Qualley is great as well, but Demi Moore, so engaging to watch in this role.
I genuinely never think I've seen her in a movie before.
I've seen her in like bit parts, but she never really got a chance to like shine. And she's a really sad character in this too, so you really feel for her. It's got some interesting kind of ideas behind the scenes. When I first started watching it, I was like, oh, some of the other characters outside those main couple feel too caricature and over the top. But then the more you watch it, the more you're like, well, it actually works because they're trying to present this unrealistic world where they're not trying to do a subtle social commentary.
Right.
They'll slap you in the face with it. They'll slap you in your perfectly
Manicured.
plastic surgery face. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like, you do have to see it, but I'm not.
I know I do.
I'm not gonna.
Thanks, Mr. Brown.
I'm not gonna leave if you don't see it.
Good. Thanks for that lack of ultimatum. I appreciate it.
You are very welcome. You see it in your own time, mate.
And I will. I did get over to the cinemas recently and finally saw Wicked, the new John Wick film. That was a social media joke that I saw that was quite funny. So I went and saw
you
Wicked.
saw Wicked.
Yeah,
okay.
sorry,
cool.
we got there.
I had a very puzzled expression on my face. Yes, you saw Wicked. What did you think?
It was really good.
It was wicked?
It was wicked. It was radical.
Nice.
No, it was really good. I mean, obviously, I'll get the bad stuff. Well, not the bad stuff, but things that could have been improved, like in terms of color grading and with how sometimes this film lacks vibrance, which is a weird thing to say when your primary colors are pink and green. But
Digital.
It's just, it's a little bit disappointing, but it takes nothing away from, I think, like, the world building for, like, a fantasy film is, like, top tier in how immersive, like, I really love Oz as, like, a concept across...
Just not as a name for the penguin.
That's top tier from you. That's top tier world building and world establishing. Yep. In the Oz in Emerald City, not in Gotham City or Newark, New Jersey. I just love how fleshed out the world is. I think I really loved this musical. I've only seen it once and saw it back in 2009, so it's been a really long time. And I was bits and pieces like, oh yeah, that's right, that happens. In the two leads are just phenomenal. Not just with how obviously their vocal performances go, but just how really good sort of that reluctance and hate goes into best friends and then obviously breaks apart again. Yeah, they both play off each other really good. Both Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande just put in awesome performances. Bowen Yang, who's in SNL, is he's just so good. I'm really excited for him to get like more movie roles. So I think he's just a brilliant actor. His comedic timing is just like off the chain good. There's just so many little things in the background he does, like little sort of facial expressions or little like quick little jabs. I'm like, oh, he's just killing it. Movie musicals sort of make songs a bit more of an organic part sometimes of the movie, if that makes sense. And I think some of the ways they're going to set up the songs are interesting as well, and sort of go into them. But yeah, I think it's overall really good. Obviously everyone's been, going to the cinemas to go see it. It's, doing gangbusters, but certainly would be in the best musical films that I've seen. So can't wait for part 2.
Awesome. Next I'm going to talk about Stir of Echoes. So it is a Kevin Bacon film.
I watched this year.
Yeah. It's okay. Like, it's just fine. I think I probably would have enjoyed it more if I didn't think that it was a bit of a tired concept. So it's like this idea of a ghost haunting someone and trying to get them to uncover their murder, which is a pretty familiar story for ghost stories. But I guess I liked the way that it was kind of shot, the way that they did like the transitions between one world and the other world. I also just have a real soft spot for Kevin Bacon, so that helps a lot.
His descent into madness is quite good.
Yeah, it is. So there was nothing special about it, but it was an okay watch.
Fun watch. Yeah. The fact that you talk about it sort of being sort of derivative of a lot of concepts, that's kind of why that film didn't do very well, because I think it got released mere months after, I think, Signs or The Sixth Sense came out. So a lot of people were like, I'd rather watch that film.
Yeah, and fair.
So yeah,
totally fair.
But no, it was a fun one. My second last one that I'll talk about is a rewatch, because I'm excited to go to New Zealand in a mere few weeks now.
The Hobbit?
No, I definitely didn't. No,
Lord of the Rings.
I was, if I wanted to be excited about going to New Zealand, I'm not watching The Hobbit. But no, I watched The Fellowship of the Ring, the first Lord of the Rings film again.
Because the Caravan of Garbage Boys are doing it?
And that definitely prompted some, usually, sometimes, I might watch that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the best. Like, I still think it's one of the best trilogies that's ever been made. Fellowship. Quite often, I don't always put as like the highest in the mark, and I definitely didn't when I was a kid, because I was like, oh, the battles and stuff in 2 and 3 are great, and they are. And I used to think Return of the King was my favorite, but I constantly change my ranking of these films all the time. But I just love Fellowship, and they are like, let's talk about world building. It's like it's just the best. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to say too much.
I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but Fellowship of the Ring's my favorite.
It's a cracker. I think I like all of the different set pieces. I really like the battle with Uruk-hai and Lurtz at the end.
I just like that they're together too.
It's the only time they are.
Yeah, exactly.
It is the Fellowship. It's in the name. But yeah, like just everything in Moria, the battle at Weathertop, just set pieces and stuff are just fantastic, and the performance of all the characters, just how good everything still looks like 20 years later. There's obviously some stuff that can look a little bit janky at times, but it was ahead of its time for a lot of things they did, and it still looks really damn good. Really damn good. So yeah, it's good. Nice. Touch back with the Fellowship.
My second last is called Solace. Anthony Hopkins, Colin Farrell, and I can't remember his name. Who plays Sam and Dean's dad in Supernatural?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Old Negan from The Walking Dead. It's okay. My brother recommended it to me.
What's it about?
The concept is kind of cool. Anthony Hopkins can basically... He has some sort of paranormal ability where he can kind of predict the future.
Okay.
And Jeffrey Dean Morgan reaches out to him. He's a family friend and tries to get him to come help him because he is a cop that is after a serial killer. And Colin Farrell is the serial killer.
Okay.
But you find out as the film is going on that Colin Farrell also has the ability to predict the future. And so that's how he's so good
cat
at
and
being
mouse.
able to... Yeah. And so that concept is good, but I think the writing is poor, like the actual dialogue in it. Especially there is a female character who... Look, I have probably seen her in other things as well, but I would not know her name. And she is like a profiler. And the way that she like describes it, she puts on like a profiling voice. Yes, Abby Cornish. She puts on like a profiling voice, and it's
What's a
really,
profiling voice?
It's kind of like a CSI voice, like they talk like this, you know, like
I mainly just wanted you to do that. That's
yeah, female victim decapitated. Looks like she lost her head. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the way that she does it, it's just so cheesy, and yeah, I don't like that. But it really irks me that the camera movement is really handheld, and it's like,
what year did this?
whoa,
2015. Fair. Okay.
Everybody calm down. It was all the rage at the time.
Damn you.
Tripods were being replaced by monopods, and there was no such thing as steady cams going around.
No. Damn you, Born Identity.
Unsteady cams.
That's what they call it.
So yeah, it was fine.
Yep.
But I probably wouldn't watch it again.
Okay. My last film is a new one for me, and it probably is a film that I would watch again, and it's called The Hitcher.
Mighty Boosh reference there.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm the Hitcher. Let me put you in the picture. Heels up inside. Yeah, you're the guy who's got a giant thumb. He plays the bass guitar. He wears a big top hat and he's green.
Mr.
You don't know the
Brown's-
Hitcher from the Mighty Boosh.
Mr. Brown's air bass is going off the chain at the moment, looking like Paul Rudd. I love you, man.
He's all the way up here.
I mean, usually I play down here, but air bass is way better up there. That's fine. Slap in the bass, man. No. So
What up, Jobin? Magooch?
it's a good film. It's a good film.
sneak
So
some
is The Hitcher. Stars C. Thomas Howell. It's got Rutger Hauer. Rutger Hauer plays like the titular Hitcher.
The titular Hitcher.
That's good. Nice one. Me.
Me.
It's just like a really kind of simple, lean, like 80s thriller. Just looks really good. Like, I like how sort of dirty this film looks. It's very tense. Basically, like, yeah, the main character sort of, C. Thomas Howell picks up Rutger Hauer, and then it works out that, well, it's probably going to kill him. And then it's about him basically evading him for the entire film.
Yeah,
and
right,
keeps going after him and is like killing other like people that he's hitchhiking with just to get to him, kills his girlfriend. It's all pretty like full on. The only thing you don't see a lot of the kills happen. You see like the aftermath of all the bodies and stuff.
Right.
So I was like, I'm not sure if that's just like budget limitations or anything like that. But yeah, I was interested in this film because it popped up on Umbrella Entertainment as like one of their films. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, sometimes I do buy before I try, but this time I tried before I buy. And I was glad
I
I didn't.
feel about that. A slasher where you don't get to see the kills.
Not all of them, basically. It's kind of like it almost felt like a human version of like, we're not going to show you the creature because it's too expensive. But yeah, but maybe because they sunk a lot of coin into the car stunts and explosions because they look sick.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it did lack a little bit of narrative heft in the latter stages because you don't really sort of understand like who Rutger Hauer's character is and sort of what his purpose is. You know, he's more of a symbolic threat rather than something that's more personal. But no, I did enjoy the film. I think like it's up my 80s thriller alleyway. But no, I would enjoy watching this film again. I would recommend. I might buy that Blu-ray now.
Nice. My final one is Juror number 2.
Oh, I got around to watching it.
I did. So Clint Eastwood film. It's got Nicholas Hoult, Toni Collette, J.K. Simmons. It's a pretty stacked cast.
I've heard good things. Are those good things accurate?
Yes, they are. I really, really enjoyed it. I would say that Nicholas Holt's performance carries the film. We kind of already talked about this when we talked about trailers, but I'll do a quick recap. Essentially, he gets called for jury duty, and while he's there, he realizes he may have inadvertently been responsible for the death of the guy that's being trialed is being falsely trialed. So you kind of go, oh, what's going to happen next? Like, is he going to confess? Is he going to try and convince the rest of the jury that this guy's innocent so that he doesn't send an innocent man to prison? And there's a lot of complications too with like, are things going to be uncovered that will then start pointing to him?
Cool.
So it unravels very quickly, but Nicholas Holt's performance is what really kind of keeps it all together.
I heard it good.
Yeah, he's just incredible.
He's had a good year.
Not just a good year, he's had a good couple of years. Him in The Menu is one of the most memorable performances of the last few years. And
getting rave reviews for Nosferatu as well.
Yes. I'm pretty excited. We're doing a callback to a lot of things. Lock, Stock, and Nosferatu, Smoking Barrels. Anyway, so he's really good in it. And I would say that I wasn't sure at the end of it if I was completely satisfied with the ending, but I also couldn't tell you what I wanted to happen with the ending, if that makes sense.
You just didn't feel
well,
stuck.
like once the concept is kind of set up, I found myself going, I don't know if there is a way that I want this to end, if that makes sense.
Like, what's the right move here?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly right. But yeah, just really enjoyable and really well made, like Clint Eastwood films, right?
They're pretty damn good.
That's it for me. Are you all done and
That's
dusted?
it for me too.
Oh my goodness. As always, guys, please do remember to like, subscribe, and share it around. We have had a bit of a quick one today, but that's only because we're trying to save up a little bit of energy for our final pod of the year.
Wow.
We've got one big Christmas one left. It's going to be great. We're going to do some top threes for a bunch of different categories. Some silly, some not so silly. But we're also going to do a Christmas-themed mashup. So
Can't wait.
big one coming up. So make sure you tune in for that. Mr. Boyle and I would love to stay here and talk with you, but we're not going to.
We are not going to.
Thanks, guys, and catch you at the final film club.